Good afternoon. Ooh. I'm making some lo-fi. It's very good. Very good. So good. It's good. It's very good. Alright, final Gitz tier list. Let's have a look. First, thanks to my patrons, Pedro Sprali, Von Tome, Christian Lance, and Zed Ramirez. Thanks for supporting the channel. I'm on a mission to get 10 patrons before 4th edition. You can make that dream come true. Art for the channel donated by Barian. Instagram link in the description. And thanks to Baron of Dice for supporting the channel. You can support the channel by checking out Baron of Dice and use code MDG at checkout. Oh yeah! Oh, green screen. Okay, so we're gonna do a Gitz tier list, the final one for 3rd edition, and here's how the tiers work. S tier is going to be an auto include. Now, we're gonna sort of think about this tier list in 2 different ways. We're going to think about it in terms of squigs, and we're going to think about it in terms of trolls, because those are really the 2 ways that people are playing Gitz right now that are having any kind of success. So if it's an auto-include in either a trolls list or in a squigs list, it's going to get S tier. And the same is true for all other categories, right? So A tier is like, this is a unit that you'll see a lot of, not necessarily an auto-include. Okay, so a good example of an auto-include for Gitz is going to be Rock Guts. If you're playing Trolls, you're playing Rock Guts. There's no way you're like, yeah, I'm playing a Troll army and there's no Rock Guts in it. You kind of need them, right? A tier is going to be units that are really strong, that you see often, but aren't necessarily auto-includes. A good example could be Trug. Trug is pretty good. You'll see him in lots of Trolls lists, but he's not necessarily an auto-include. You can have a really good Trolls list that does not run Trug. B tier is conditional, so this is like they're good if, you know, they're going to be included in an army if a certain set of conditions is true. What would be a good example? A Loon Boss might be a good example. If you're playing a lot of Stabbas, then suddenly the Loon Boss becomes good. If you're like, I want to have a reinforced unit of Stabbas, well, suddenly you can kind of think about the Loon Boss, but if that condition isn't true, there's no way that you'll just sort of see him. You won't see him in a list unless some other things are also true with that list. Cool. B tier. So then F tier is just kind of bad. You know, like you kind of just don't see them because they're not very good. And for the points cost, you would be better off running almost anything else in a similar points cost. So a good example for me is going to be the Ale Guzzler Gargant. If you're playing an Ale Guzzler Gargant in a Gloomspike Gitz list, I just kind of think to myself, for 140 points, you could just do better. You know, there's just better things that you could run, right? All right, so let's kind of get through. Kragnos. I think Kragnos, unfortunately, is going to sit at F tier. I think for his point cost, I just can't imagine that you're going to be playing him. I think that probably some of the mercenaries, the Gargant mercenaries, are going to be better every single time if that's what you're looking for. Just something big to smash and stand on objectives. So I just can't see it. Oops, I have 2 of the same spider. That's not good. So let's move on to Web Spinner Shaman on a Ragnarok Spider. Let's say that this is that one. You know, I wish this model was, I wish that this was better. And to be frank, I don't really know how to make it better. It's a 2-cast wizard, that's great. The spider spell lore is okay. So is he B tier, like if you're really set on running spiders? Right, then he's good. Is that even true though? I don't know. I'm kind of glad that spiders aren't super strong because my wife's arachnophobic and I don't have to like have a blanket over some of my army. So, I don't know. 2-cast wizard? But if you see it in a list, you're like, oof, like what's this going in? In fact, like, so, you know, Web Spinner Shaman on a Ragnarok Spider, Flinger, Like all of these spiders are B tier, I want to say. Arachnarok spider with Flinger, Arachnarok spider with Spider Fang War Party, and Web Spinner Shaman on Arachnarok spider. I think they're only going to be ever good if you're playing like a spider list. I don't want to put them in F tier. I'm tempted, but I'm not going to put them in F tier. The only one that's going to get on A tier for me is the Skitterstrand Arachnarok. The Skitterstrand Arachnarok I think is actually pretty good. I wish he was on a smaller base size, but what can you do? The thing with him is I just love, like, he's a monster, which is great. He's really aggressively pointed at 170 points, and the fact that he can use his ability Ambush from Beyond, where he can sort of phase in and phase out, it can actually provide a kind of a scary mind game for your opponent, like where's the spider coming next, and he can phase out while in combat, so he can, like, you know, go in and fight and then disappear. The only real drawback for him is that he has a 9-inch deployment. Like when he faces it, he has to be 9 inches away, and there's no tricks to help him get in faster. So, like, it's not like it's too bad that he couldn't, like, if he's wholly within the light of the bad moon, that he can come in outside of 7, something like this. But, you know, what are you going to do? Or if you could give him +1 to charge or +2 to charge, but it's just not going to happen. Yeah, how about this next spider? To be honest, the, yeah. Scuttle Boss on Gigantic Spider. I think I'm just going to stick him in B tier just with the other spiders. If you really want to play spiders, I think that they are good. They're better if that's your plan, if you're going to lean into it and move that direction. You know, so like there is a way where I think that they sort of become playable and viable and decent, but I just can't see the rest of it. I'm also going to put our little Spider Rider friends down there in B tier with one added stipulation. They're actually pretty good if you have 90 extra points. If you need a flanker and you have exactly 90 points, you know, they're actually kind of decent. I put them in a category with like Snarlfang Riders, right? It's like they're sort of fast flankers on the side, Boingrot Bounders, Hoppers, but they're the cheapest at 90 points. So they can fill that sort of screen role. You don't want to take 5 Bounders for 150 points and just lose them. They just get charged and die. But for 90 points with spiders, like, that's something that you can do without really, you know, too much concern. So I'm going to stick them in B tier, but they're the best B tier unit so far. I would say they're the best B tier unit. Fellwater Trogs, A tier. These guys are scary. Their ability went to shoot at you and deny your ability to save, modify in 3rd edition is really strong because of how much save stacking there is. Let me just double check something, Fellwater. I'm just trying to remember what their range on their attack is. Yeah, it's a 6-inch range, so you can't teleport them in and then shoot to get rid of the ability, but if they're standing behind a reinforced unit of rock guts and something comes charging into those rock guts and you're able to unleash hell with that noxious vomit, you know, something that is like, oh, we're super save stacked and you can't get us. It's like, well, yeah, I can. You're going back to whatever your base profile is. Very, very strong. More trolls. We got Moloch. I've seen him once, and I don't know what he really offers. He's 130 points, so he's relatively cheap. But I don't know for his point cost. Like, I guess he's cheap and a hero. Is he a B tier? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, his attack is actually pretty decent. We'll leave him in B tier, but I don't know under what conditions. Right? Like, when would you take this guy? Because remember, the difference between A tier and B tier is A tier's like, oh no, he's good. Like, you know, oh yeah, take him, he's good. And then B tier's like, he's good if. But I can't think of the if. So is he just always... Is it just better to always play something else instead of him? Here's one I'm not super sure on. You let me know in the comments below what you think. Trog Boss. Is he just always good? I don't think so. You know, so in my troll list right now, what I run is Trug. Because Trug counts as a Daghold Trog boss because it's in his keywords. I'll just pull it up right now and have a super quick double check. But yeah, he's got the Daghold Trog boss keyword, which means he unlocks all the trolls as battle line, Felwaters and Rockets. Oh yeah, Felwater's so good. So if you run him, you're getting those battle line options, and then I'll also run him with Scragrot. So I unlock other stuff as battle line? What am I trying to say here? There's a reason that I would also always take Scragrot. Oh yeah, no, because Scragrot's just OP. Sorry, what I'm thinking is taking a Loon boss on Mangler Squig. That's the thing. So if you take a Loon boss, that's just Mangler Squig. If you take a Loon boss on Mangler Squig and make him the general, you can do that cool, like, you can give him the enhancements where he has Fight Another Day and either the one that gives -1 to hit against him or the one that improves his damage, the Moon Cap Teeth or whatever it is, I can't remember. But between the two of them, because one is your general and one's a War Master, you've now unlocked all the Squigs and all the Trolls as battle line. And from there, you can kind of run whatever you like. So if you're running these three heroes, Scragrot, Trug, and whatever, it's like all, you know, 2 of them are War Master, one's your general. You just have like everything that you need, right? And that's really important. It's just like tons of fun. I'm a big fan. So, yeah, like the Trog boss, I just kind of want to say that he's good. Kind of just want to put him in A tier. Yeah, we'll just stick him in A tier. He's just good. As opposed to the Dankholds, I think Dankholds are B tier. I think that one of the conditions that they need is they need to be reinforced. If you have 3 of them in one unit, I think that they can suddenly be actually terrifying and scary. But if you just have, or like, you know, if you just have a few points left over, because I believe they're more expensive than Rock Guts for just the one. They're 180 points, so you're getting just 1 instead of 3 Rock Guts. But you could sort of make that call if you had exactly 180 points left, right? They have us 4-up Spell Ignore. You know, they do troll stuff, but I'd probably almost go with a unit of Rock Guts pretty much every time because Rock Guts are just so good. Okay, here we have Loon Boss on Mangler Squig. Or no, sorry, Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig. I think we're just F tier. You know, the Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig, I don't really know what he's offering. He fights with Boingrot Bounders. You know, if you fight with him, then the Bounders get to fight. So he's one of those units that's like, I attach myself to a unit of Boingrot Bounders and I'm able to increase the damage. But there's just not really a lot of, like, he's not bringing a ton of damage. You know? So for the points, like for 30 more points, you can just take another unit of Bounders, which is going to be better every single time. So for his point cost, you're just better off playing something else. Are Snufflers S tier? Snufflers are, in my opinion, an auto-include in a Squig Herd list. If you're running Squig Herd, it's an auto-include. Right now, in this edition, oops, I have 2 Herd by accident. Right now, in this edition, Squig Herd are the go-to. Like, they're just so good. Like, you can run a 72 Squig Herd list and do really well, right? So if you're gonna do something like that, then Sneaky Snufflers, giving them a 5-up board, makes them pretty much unkillable. And it's good that Herd are getting nerfed in the next edition. They should. It was really silly of GW to show us that War Scroll in the preview, but c'est la vie. C'est la vie. I think a Mangler Squig is probably F tier. The only reason that the Loon Boss on Mangler Squig is so much better is because of the enhancements that he can take. Specifically, the Fight Another Day ability. Being able to, like, jump in and fight and then jump away is really good. Okay? And, yeah, I mean, the Loon Boss also has, like, the Bite Damoon ability. Adding 1 to wound rolls for friendly Squigs while they're wholly within 18 of this unit. Like, that's a brick of Herd. Like, that's a way that you can give them +1 to wound. You know, can't give them all out attack, but with a Marsh Crawler, it's really good. You know, they both have the Curse Splat ability, which is good. But yeah, Loon Boss on Mango Squig is just so much better. Just so much better. Yeah. Yep, Fight Another Day is just really strong. Fight Another Day is really strong and really fun. And because the Mango Squig's so fast, it's hard to catch up with him. But, you know, I guess the Mango Squig is only 250 points, but if that's what you're looking to do, then I just think that, you know, if you want a monster, that there's other options that are just better. A Skitterstrand or Ragnarok is better and cheaper by a lot. So if that's kind of what you're thinking, like you just want like a fast monster, I would go with the Skitterstrand instead. So just like, and your saving points, right? Bounders, I think, are S tier. I think Bounders are S tier because if you're playing Squigs, you're playing Bounders. We've seen lists this season that were basically Bounder spam. Their points have been sneaking up, but even now at their point cost now, I still think that they are an auto-include if you're playing Squigs. And I also recommend playing them sometimes, or at least keeping them in mind if you're playing Trolls. They're just a fast cavalry unit on the flanks. That's something that Trolls doesn't have. So between Boeing Grot Bounders, Spider Riders, right? It's like you can put something on the flanks that's good. Boeing Grot Bounders, when they're reinforced, will kill almost anything in the game, especially if they're double reinforced and buffed up. However, just a regular old 5 unit of Bounders is going to be very effective on the flank because you'll probably end up fighting screens or other units that are just trying to grab objectives. They're fast, they can run and charge if they're under the light of the bad moon. So, and in a squad of 5, if they die, you get 3 back. So, or you have a chance of getting 3 back. So they can come out and just sort of be this wave after wave after wave on the flanks, which is useful and strong. So I think that they're pretty much an auto-include in Squigs for sure, and kind of A tier in like even a troll list. Next we got the Loon Boss with Giant Cave Squig, F tier. Don't even know what he does. Loon Boss with Giant Cave Squig. Let's have a look. So he's got a fairly decent attack with the Moon Prodder, right? 3s and 3s, 2 rend, 2 damage. He can slay a model at the end of the combat phase if the roll is equal to or greater than the model's wound characteristic. So he's going to grab like a 2 or a 3 wound thing. Not bad. Even grabbing like a rock gun would be cool. You know, you could roll a 6, right? And grab a 5 wound model, but whatever. And then he can deal D3 mortal wounds to a unit of Grots, of Boomspike Gitz Grots, and then their bravery goes up by 3, so kind of bad actually. You know, you deal D3 mortal wounds, but their bravery goes up by 3, so their bravery goes up by 3, but you're gonna lose 3 more models, so they cancel each other out, so it's kind of a trash ability. And for 110 points, like, he's just, the Squig Boss has just replaced him. Right? The Squig Boss just replaced him. Oh, am I missing? I'm not missing that guy. Cool. Up next we got Herd. I think Herd or S tier. If you're playing Squigs, you're playing Herd. They're that good. I think Hoppers are F tier. I think Hoppers are F tier. I think every single time that you're gonna run a unit of Squig Hoppers, I think it's better to run Bounders, even though you're losing 5 models. Bounders just deal way more damage. Don't forget that the Slittas on the back, they have no rend, and the Fang-filled Gobs, right? 3 attacks, forced to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage, but just the damage output compared to Bounders. I mean, should we do the math really quick? Let's just do the math really quick. So in a unit of Squig Hoppers, there's 10 models, 1 attack with a champion, right? Whatever, 4s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage. Confirm, add a profile, Fang-filled Gobs. So it's 10 models, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage. So all together we're looking at 8.89 damage on a 4-up save. We'll just throw that number in here. Oops. 8.89 damage against a 4-up save. And then let's edit. So now we're down to 5 models. And we're going to look at Boeing Grot Bounders. Okay, 5 models. This is their Poke and Lance, so it's 2 attacks. 4s, 3s, 2 rend, 2 damage. We'll just assume that they're on the charge. And then for our Squigs, we're still 3 4s and 3s. 2 damage. So looks like our damage is the same, right? But they're cheaper. Our damage is the same, but they're cheaper, right? They're a little bit slower, but they're cheaper, and their damage output is the same. So, you know, feels bad to be hoppers this season. Fungoid Cave Shaman. I want to put Fungoid Cave Shaman in the S tier, but I'm not. I'm going to put him in A tier. He's just an all-around really good guy. He's a very good general in both Squigs and in Trolls, because he gets to stand next to the Bad Moon, and if you want to play King's Gitz, he can have the Clammy Hand. He's invisible outside of 12. He has that extra cast once per game. He's solid. And if you're going to play Trug in Trolls, so this is kind of why I'm kind of thinking that this Daghole Trog boss gets demoted, because, you know, he's only going to be really good in your list if you're playing Trolls and you're not playing Trug, right? If you're playing Trolls and Trug, then I don't know about the Daghole. The Daghole to me now feels like a redundant role. That Trug is the one who's going to be, you know, kind of like standing behind rockets, getting ready to move out and wait and smash and stuff. But the Trug boss, like, if you're not playing Trug, I think he's good. But if you are playing Trug, I just ask, like, well, are we just duplicating roles here? Or are we just spending a ton of points to have, like, all these big trolls standing behind? Because, you know, like, he's expensive. You know, the Daghole Trug boss right now is running at 210 points. Trug is more expensive than that, right? So if you're trying to save some points, you could downgrade from a Trug to a thing, right? Because Trug's 320 points, but I don't know. That's how I feel about him. Grinkrat, I think, is A tier. I think if you're playing Squigs and you want to play Grinkrat the Great and his little entourage, I think that fight on death ability for Squigs is really strong. So I don't think he's an auto-include necessarily. I don't play him personally. He's too expensive for my tastes. But I think that he's quite good. You know, like, that fight on death ability is really strong in Gitz, particularly with Herd, right? Up next, we got Zarbag and Zarbag's Gitz. Sorry, just 1 second. I just gotta fix this. My music again. I'm having a day. So Zarbag is, I don't know, 180 points for him and his little crew. You know, he's got, like, pretty standard Grot stats. At the start of your hero phase, roll a die. On a 4-up, this unit can attempt to cast 1 additional spell this phase. Kind of meh. He's a 1-cast wizard, right? Jealous Hex is a spell that has a casting value of 6 and a range of 18. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy hero within range of visible to the caster. Until the start of your next hero phase, ignore positive modifiers to hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made by that hero, and ignore positive modifiers to save rolls for attacks that target that hero. Like, that's an okay spell, Jealous Hex. It has a good range of 18 inches, but it's kind of niche. It only targets heroes, and like, a lot of heroes, you're not going to care. Like, imagine if it's like a Mega Boss on foot and you're hitting it with a bunch of bounders. You don't care. But there are going to be some heroes that, you know, you want to ignore their saves, like drop their save down, you know? And Face of the Bad Moon is a spell that has a casting value of 5 and a range of 9 inches. So now we're getting, you know, into combat. 9 inches is not very good. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy within range of visible to the caster. That unit must retreat. If it is impossible for the unit to retreat for any reason, they suffer D6 mortal wounds. So, I don't know. Just doesn't feel super impactful. He's not really giving buffs to the crew that are not spells, right? So I feel like for 180 points, I can't think of a reason that you would want to take him over other things. I'm actually going to give him F tier. He's just worse than the opportunity cost of what he's bringing, right? And even his Zarbag's Gitz, I'm not even really sure what they do. They got a netter. The first time this unit is set up on the battlefield, 1 Loon Smasher Fanatic unit consisting of 1 model is added to your army and hidden within this unit as a reserve unit. So they come with a unit of Loon Smasher Fanatics. Like, that's pretty cool. The first time this unit is set up on the battlefield. Oh, consisting of 1 model. Oh, I see. So it's just, they just have the 1. That's nothing. And then protect the boss. They're a bodyguard. Like, yeah, pretty meh. I'm just gonna stick them in F2. I don't think that they're good. Snarlfang Riders and Rip a Snarlfang. I think I'm gonna stick them both in A tier. Maybe both in B tier. I think they're better almost in Orcs, like in Big Wa, as allies, than they are in Gitz. The thing with them is that they are fast, they're on the flanks, and they're pretty cheaply costed. So, you know, Boingrat Bounders, are they 160 points now? I believe so, right? So, you know, they're more expensive as flankers, and they are 5 models, just like Snarlfang Riders. Rippa's is, of course, 3 models, but they're cheaper. Rippa's is 110 points, and Snarlfang Riders are 120 points. So if you're looking for a flanker, and you have that many points to spare, then Snarlfang and Rippa's are really good, right? They're kind of an upgrade from the Spider Riders. I think they're a little bit slower and they don't fly, but they deal significantly more damage, especially Rippa's. Rippa's are very good at trying to find heroes in the back line, right? Kind of snaking and weaving around in the back. So I'm going to stick them in B tier. If you have the room and if you need them, and if you need some flankers, they will certainly fit that role for you, right? Without really any problem. Let's see. What do we have next? Up next, we got Shootas. I think Shootas are F tier. Trash unit. Never play Shootas. Don't roll 40 dice and do 2 damage. That's dumb. I just hate them. They're bad. I wish that they did something else. I wish that they just didn't throw as many dice. Something, you know, like the math, the damage can be the same, but I don't want to roll that many dice. Right now, let's have a look here. Shootas. Moonclan Shootas. Right? So their attack's characteristic is 2 if they have 10 or more models. So on default, because of course they come in units of 20. So if they have 10 or more models, they, whatever count, they throw 40 dice. If they're a full unit, they throw 40 dice, maybe 41 even. But 4s and 5s with no rend and 1 damage, like, get out of here. Like, just a useless profile. Just, instead of giving them 1 attacks, give them, like, +1 to wound or something instead. I don't even know why. But I'm not rolling that many dice. Stabas, on the other hand, are A tier because they are a very, very, very good screen. And you don't have to roll that many dice. And one of the big differences between Stabas and Shootas is that instead of having that extra attack characteristic or whatever, while Stabas, while they have 20 or more models, they can contest objectives while they're within 9 inches instead of 6 inches. So these guys can be teleported onto objectives if they're still at full strength, and they can take objectives away even if your opponent's zoning out that objective, right? Because they can be outside of 9, so that's quite good. They're also very good screens. Yeah, I mean, they're just generally all around a pretty good unit. Like, they serve their role incredibly well. 1 second. Sneeze all over my keyboard here. So, I mean, yeah, like if you see them in Gitz, you're not surprised. You're like, yeah, they're absolutely solid. A Squig boss is S tier. We all know why. If you're playing Squigs, they are an auto-include in your army. Right? If you're playing Squigs, they're an auto-include in your army for sure. I don't even care what kind of Squigs. I would rather see 2 than none. Very strong. Right? Release the herd, all that. Unleash the Squigs, whatever it's called. Very good. Loon Smash of Fanatics, A tier. I'm hoping that we get to play them more, or that I personally get to play them more in 4th edition. I love the idea of like taking, like just before Gitz got their points reductions the last time around, I was about to play a list that had Gobapalooza, Sneaky Snufflers, and 2 units of Lunatic Fanatics. I think I also had a unit of Stabas in the list, I can't remember. But the idea was that both Gobapalooza and Sneaky Snufflers were going to have Fanatics in them. Snufflers and Gobapalooza make pretty decent screens. So having a whole bunch of herd and then these support heroes that also are going to unleash Lunatic Fanatics to anything that's trying to get around the side, to me, seemed like a ton of fun. And I was kind of sad that I didn't get to play them because the points went up and suddenly the list was no longer viable. So I was kind of sad. Gobapalooza, another A tier unit. Gobapalooza brings so much utility. They have 3 wounds apiece. They have, I think, a 4-up ward on turn 1, a 5-up ward on turn 2, and then a 6-up ward for the rest of the game. So early game, they can actually be quite survivable. They're Moonclan, so they are going to rally on a 4-up. And only, like, really 2 of the models are, like, really good. But I should say 3, right? You can kind of lose the Scaremonger and the Shroom, not the Shroom Man, so the Brewgit. You can sort of lose them both. and there's 6 wounds total, right, with their ward and all that, and the unit still does kind of what it's supposed to do. You know, Spiker's still there, they still have 2 casts. Just being a 2-cast wizard that's not a hero is really great. Yep. Rabble-Rouser. Womp womp. I think Rabble-Rouser's probably F tier. There's not a lot of monsters that you're going to be running in this list, unfortunately. I think Rabble-Rouser's probably at his best in a big pig list with orcs, right? But he's not even that expensive. How many points is he? Maybe that'll bump him up into B tier. How many points is he, Rabble-Rouser? 100 points? Yeah, I just can't see it. Just like a foot wizard is going to be better every time. What monsters are you really trying to get run in charge here? Like big Dankholds? Are Dankholds even monsters? I don't think they are monsters. You know, you can make a Alpha Trog, make the Trog boss, give him that command trait or whatever it is, Alpha Trog, make him a monster, Trug, and then the spiders. But it's like there's just nothing here to really make him good and work, right? If the Arachnarok spider could like come in and then, you know, and then get a bonus to charge from Rabble-Rouser, like not just run in charge, but like just a bonus to charge, like as long as he ends his charge closer to Rabble-Rouser, I think that could be really a strong combination, but I don't know, not very good. Let's say the Web Spinner Shaman. I'm gonna stick Web Spinner Shaman in A tier, and the reason is really quite simple, because in this season where you have Blizzard, this guy has a 5-up ward. You can just give him Blizzard and stick him out in the fight and be like, yeah, get in there, buddy. You got 4 wounds, right? Got a 5-up ward. Let's cast Blizzard. Let's see what happens. So for that reason, I think he's quite good. I mean, his spell lore is not particularly good in anything that's not spiders, right? Curse of Despair, like he's got some good spells that'll go off on spiders, but you probably won't be taking them because you're probably not running spiders, but instead he's going to have like Hoarfrost or Blizzard, and then all of a sudden he's quite strong, right? It's really good spells. What are these guys called again? Spore Splatter Fanatics, I believe. Spore Splatter Fanatics. Their key thing is that they get to move early. After deployment, but before the first battle round begins, this unit can make a normal move. So they get to normal move before your opponent gets to take their turn, if your opponent's going first. And if they're not going first, or if you're going first, they get to kind of move twice, and they block line of sight, right? Visibility between 2 models is blocked if a straight line drawn between the closest point of those 2 models passes across a model in this unit or passes within 1 inch of this unit. So blocking line of sight with 5 models on 32mm bases and getting that extra inch on both sides is quite strong, right? You have 5 models, so there's 4 gaps between them, and then 2 inches on each side, so that's already 6 inches plus 32mm times 5. They're gonna give a pretty good line of blocking line of sight, and they're gonna be able to move early so they can get in the way and actually get in front of the army. So quite good at what they do. The question is do you need them to do that in your list? Is that a thing that you need? Is there a lot of shooting in your meta? If there is, these guys are great, and you should consider playing them. We already talked about Herd, right? Herd is duplicated up in this tier. And the last but not least, we got our Endless Spells. Unfortunately, right now, our Endless Spells are gonna sit at a B tier. The Malevolent Moon, I think, and they're all kind of okay. That's the thing, is that they're all kind of okay. The Malevolent Moon, you know, is good. It's fast. It you know, moves on 12 inches and can fly. On a 2-up, it does D3 mortal wounds. It gives out Light of the Bad Moon. Like, it has utility. It has damage. It's quick. It's great. Mork's Mighty Mushroom, I think, is weaker. You know, let's see what it does. Yeah, it's okay. And then the little spider thing is actually pretty good. So, like, as a group, I kind of think that they're okay. Scuttletide is good. The Mushroom is good, but they're going to sit at B tier, unfortunately. All right, well, let me know what you think in the comments below. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Show up in Discord. Tell me what you think. Still looking for 10 patrons. You can be one. Like, subscribe. Wow.